Woke up tired, still I gotta get it. Same routine, but I'm staying committed.
The startup cost, man, to get started, it seems like it's kind of high, Jeremy. You got freaking
For this?
and cameras and chairs and this and that and whatever the hell that thing is.
It's not cheap, but it's not
Not crazy expensive.
it's not crazy. I think
Yeah.
I went with the I ain't gonna say I try to go cheap, but I try to go affordable.
Like a medium range, whatever medium is, not the top high and not the real cheapest or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I do, man, with almost everything.
You ready to get the ball rolling on this?
Yeah, let's do it, bro. All right, cool. So get
up.
these on.
I'll
And I'm trying to listen to myself. I don't hear nothing. I thought I heard you.
check mic 1, 2.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Put your mic up.
Hey. Yeah, right on. Amazing.
You can tighten it right here. There's a little
No, I think that's good, man. I can hear myself.
sounds pretty good.
Sounds good to me.
You'd be surprised though how even that far away, just a little bit closer. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
It sounds
Nah.
I like it.
No, I don't like my voice, man, but hey, let's do it.
What you got a voice for radio. What are you talking about? Sexy.
Yeah,
Sexy
right
voice.
on, man. Sexy's good.
So are you born in Texas? Born in Texas?
Yeah, back in 1968, I was born in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
So I've born and raised, man. I lived in San Antonio all my life, except for maybe about 11, 12 years ago. Actually, a little bit longer than that, because when I got divorced, then I moved to Pleasanton, Texas. And it was a change, man, because, San Antonio, while all hustle and bustle, San Antonio is a very big city.
Yeah.
And going to Pleasanton on 16 acres of land was very different than hearing the traffic and that kind of thing. In fact, it was a little too quiet. So quiet that I think for a little bit I kind of spooked myself. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what the heck was that sound?
Yeah.
What was that? That kind of thing. So it was a big difference.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the childhood, though. I want to know about what was San Antonio like growing up, and did you have any siblings, or did you just?
Yeah. So I've got 3 sisters. I've got 2 older, 1 younger, and growing up, we grew up with my grandmother, and so we all, my mom, my 3 sisters, myself.
Is that early? Is that all you remember?
Yeah, as far back as I can remember, we always lived with my grandma until my mom remarried, and
Can you go? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm just trying to can you tell us a little bit about your heritage, and then so if your grandma is the one more involved in your life, where's your grandma from? San Antonio?
Yeah, also from San Antonio. Her grandma was from Mexico, so there's the lineage actually takes you back to Mexico at some point. But my grandmother was born and raised in San Antonio as well.
What does she do in order to support y'all?
I don't really know. So my mom lived with us as well.
Okay.
We all lived at my grandma's. So
Okay.
my mom worked. So the support came from my mom.
Oh, gotcha.
She worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever.
What she had to do?
My mom was just built like that. You
That's
know
awesome.
what I mean?
Yeah.
She the jobs I can remember is that she worked at J.C. Penney's as one of them, like a sales associate or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she did that for quite a bit. Very very successful. My mom's very talkative and can sway and she's pretty persuasive.
Yeah.
So she did that. She also worked at San Antonio Shoes and did whatever she did out there. I don't really know what she did.
Yeah.
Probably more manufacturing or whatever. But so she was a hard worker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, so growing up with 3 sisters, did you end up finding yourself being attracted to sports, or was you more how does that dynamic work with 3 sisters? Because usually when you have brothers, you're more into more physical activities and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. So women being women and girls being girls,
Mm-hmm.
they do whatever girls do, and I just was in that environment, but I also did my own thing.
Right.
So my neighbors, the young guys out there my age or whatever, we hung out. I wasn't hanging out with my sisters,
Right.
but hanging out with the guys, throwing rocks and building houses and whatever young kids do.
Yeah.
So that was the thing I did. I grew up with all women inside the house, but my outlet was all my friends, my little buddies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
going through school, did you end up like? So you didn't mention any sports or anything in school, like high school or middle school, anything like that.
That for a very long time, man, I just wasn't real focused.
Okay.
Consequently, I think what that means is that sports was not a real big thing in my head. It was
Okay.
never something I had ambitions to do.
Yeah.
I played basketball, but that was 1-on-1 and 2-on-1,
Okay.
and that was just not the organized basketball. Nothing was organized.
Right.
So for me, my outlet was actually doing bad things, man.
Really?
Yeah, for sure, man. I did a lot of things that young kids shouldn't be doing, and got into smoking this and smoking that, and started smoking cigarettes, for instance. 14 years old.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So there wasn't a whole bunch of sports orientated activity. Mark Sauter was not thinking that.
Was it because of the crowd you were surrounding yourself with, or?
Well, I think probably maybe. How do young people get in sports anyway? Right? I mean,
I would say
internally,
right.
You got this thing in you, or your buddies are hanging out that you're hanging out with are into sports.
Yeah.
And because you hang out with them, then maybe you've got this natural thing that they do it, therefore I want to do it.
Right. That's a good question you asked because honestly, so my dad and then my cousins that we grew up with, they were into baseball and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, and my dad growing up, he played sports. So naturally, and then I'm passing it down to, my daughter and, my son. However, I didn't really get an opportunity to be around my son much when he was younger. However, I think that's how it passes on. If, to what you're saying.
I think you're right, man. And so, my not to be a Debbie Downer, but my dad, he left when I was young.
Yeah.
So, my mom, did the best she could, but my dad left. So, if he was a fishing guy or a sports guy or a car guy, I mean, those are not attributes that just naturally came from the father-son relationship.
So the reason I was asking about sports and stuff is because I was trying to get to, if you had all women in your life and you were surrounding yourself with neighborhood kids and stuff like that, who was the father figure that you would say you were looking toward?
Well, when you're that young, you don't know that you're looking for something, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, young men,
mm-hmm.
young kids, they need that father figure.
Yeah, I agree.
To help pass over or pass down those things that men should be doing.
Right.
So I think that, for a very long time, Jeremy, I didn't know, you can't miss something you never had if you don't know you're missing it. What happened for me, actually, to help me see a different side of things, because to your point, I got my mom, my grandmother, my 3 sisters that I'm living with. It wasn't until much later that there was a mentor that came into my life. And that's my ex-father-in-law, actually. He was able to show me a different way of doing things and that I had never considered. Because unless you're shown a different kind of way, then if you grow up with not seeing a different side, then you just grow up the way you grow up.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like, but for me, luckily, he came into my life and was able to show me different things. And I was able to learn and hone a lot of different things, and that helped me tremendously.
At what point was this? Was this high school or?
No, this is much later,
later?
Believe it or not, man, because during high school, middle school, high school, and all those years, formative years, I wasn't thinking about what I should be doing, and you just don't think about manly things when you're a young guy.
Yeah.
Right, and so it wasn't until much later, maybe early 20s, believe it or not, and even then I just wasn't I wasn't on a track to really do anything that might be considered good. So I met my my ex-wife, and she's the one that actually implanted the idea in my head to, what about going to college? That had never been a thing in my mind. That was never a thing that we discussed growing up. It was never. It was more like, hey, you graduated, and yeah, you made it.
Yeah.
You know, it was more that
Yeah.
than it was because we all came from that.
Yeah.
And so, and to what I was telling you about, unless you see a different perspective, you may not ever think to yourself, let me think about doing this.
Yeah.
It takes some outside influence, and that's why mentorship, you know, it's important that, especially young guys, if you know, they're in the same boat, or if they have never thought about something, and actually it's a good idea just to maybe consider talking to somebody as a mentor, you know, just to get a different idea, get a different perspective.
Yeah. So in school, just going back a little bit, in high school, did the school, when you went, did they have any like trade schools, automotive, or like workshops or wood shops or anything like that?
Yeah, they did. So, yeah, in fact, that was pretty heavy. You know, so they had all those trades and all those things for young men like me, but I personally just didn't partake. I was just,
Really?
yeah, man, I was just up to really doing nothing really good, man. I hate to say it like that, and I thank God, man, that you know, things have changed for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it could have been different.
So,
but,
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. You mentioned that your ex was pushed you toward college, so you must have met her at a really young age.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we met in high school, and you know, dated for a very long time before we eventually got married. But it was her idea. It was her that implanted that idea in my head about going to college.
And did you proceed it?
I did, yeah. Actually, I went to a trade. Well, it wasn't a trade school, but what it was, it's St. Philip's College here in San Antonio, Texas, and they have it's a traditional 2-year college, but they also have a you know, the more traditional blue collar classes like electrician and plumbing and
Okay.
HVAC and whatever. And I eventually took the electrical trades, applied sciences, and I got a degree in that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that about you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long did that take you?
Well, it was a 2-year college. So,
2-year college, gotcha.
Yeah, so I got my associates in that. And so that led me on a path, once I got graduated, led me on a path of doing electrical installs and electrical work. And so I bent the conduit, pulled the wire, and terminated the panels and that kind of thing. And then it just so happened that the company I was working for, I worked for a couple at least. And I went to the Union 60. That's a good path for young men. You know, if you're looking to, you know, you got a family and you want to make some good money, and Union's a good way to go. Ultimately, let me just say this, that the way you work is really what really matters. And if you're a hard worker and you're dedicated and you spend the time and you work 1 hour and get paid 1 hour, then you're gonna be employed, union or not. So let's just get that out of the way. But anyway, so I graduated, and then I went to work, and I did the installs, and I worked for one open shop, and then I went to the union, and and then went to school and whatever. And the company that I was working for at that time, the electric company here in San Antonio, would do a lot of work for a company called Siemens. You know Siemens,
Right?
The German company. And so that was my pathway into what I do now. So back then, I was the installer for Siemens, hired us, and I was the guy doing the work. And then Siemens, said, hey, you would be a good, we think you'd work out pretty well here at Siemens. So that was my jump. That was my segue. And so I went into Siemens, and I did the electrical install for Siemens for about a year and a half, something like that. And then they said, well, hey, we think you'd be a good tech. Would you like to do that? I said, sure. And so I did the technical stuff, started doing technical work as a technician for Siemens. And I did that probably for about 3 or 4 years, doing the construction side of Siemens. So like all controls companies, they have the new construction where they get the You see them out there working outside and
Yeah.
whatever. And then they have the service department. Once you build the building and people move in, then you service the building.
Right.
And then so they asked me, hey, come on over to the service side. I went to the service side, and I remained there until I left, actually.
Yeah. Can we talk about just a little bit, just to back up a little bit? Can you share how old you were during these time frames up until the point to where you were a tech at Siemens? Can you give us a time frame, like age?
Yeah, sure. Probably I would say that I was around maybe closer to 28, 30, something like that.
So at what age were you when you graduated from the technical school?
Yeah, so I graduated that school probably about maybe 20.
And then what is going on in your life at that time? Because your ex-wife, I'm assuming girlfriend at the time, right?
Right.
At what point between there to 30 years old did you get married, and where was you at in your life when you got married? What stage of your life? Meaning, was you still an electrician, pulling? Like...
I think that when I got married, and man, I wish you hadn't asked me. My memory, man, but I'll try my best.
No worries.
I think I was probably about 25 when I got married.
Okay.
And so I was doing electrical work
Right.
For about 3 or 4 years at the time that we got married.
Yeah.
And then after that is when I went into controls.
Gotcha. At what point did you move from away from the family to have your own place, or was you still at home, or what was you doing?
To the best of my recollection, so we when we got married, we didn't have our own place immediately. So we got married, and then we lived with my ex-wife's grandma for a few months, and then with her dad for a few months while we went into an apartment. And
Right.
then after that, we got a house. And those timelines may be a little
Yeah,
off, but
no worries.
generally that's about what happened.
What was the decision to get married so young? I got married really young also. I was just curious, what was your...
Love, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, love.
Even though you knew there was no place for you to go, you had to live with other people, and you was willing to just, we're going to make this work.
It speaks more about the wife than me, right? That's a woman thing. So if a woman is good with that,
Yeah.
that's the right woman,
Yeah.
right?
I don't think so. If she's willing to follow you. And
Yeah, man. I don't know about you, but most men can live in a cardboard box, man.
That's true.
I mean, I could
too.
whatever.
You're right.
So that's more about the
very
woman.
simple.
So yeah, I'm simple too, man. And so it was more a testament about her, and not so much about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't like, I mean, imagine yourself when you were like 20,
Right.
25. I mean, did you have it all figured out? Well, no. Did you have, this is what I'm going to do, step one, step, no.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. And that's why it's important to have that right partner.
What gravitated you toward the electrical side of going to school and not, say, like automotive or something else,
Well,
plumbing or whatever not?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I can just tell you this, that when I was very young, a little kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, I mean, I was that little kid that had tools in my hands, for instance, underneath the grandma's chair, trying to fix something that didn't need fixing.
Yeah.
That was just me. So, when I got toys, for instance, I would, whether it's Christmas or birthdays or whatever, I was that kid that would break the toy. I would break the toy to get to the motor. And so I remember as a kid getting batteries and putting them in series and even parallel to light a light bulb.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was just so I would say this. That was just a God-given thing.
Yeah.
That was just given to me because I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the wife doing at the time that you're going and working and stuff? Was she working? What was her own goals or ambitions?
Yeah, well, she was more focused, and so she went into child development, going to school, getting that, teachers and whatever, and she worked at the earliest job I can remember is that she worked at a child daycare.
Yeah.
And then that eventually led her to where she's at now, working for the government. She's been there for many years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll fast forward a little bit. You're at Siemens. You're doing controls.
Yeah.
You're married. I think you're at a house now.
Mm-hmm.
During that time.
Yeah.
And then, what was it like buying your own house? Being able to purchase, like going from living in that, between like your grandma and you're living with your mom and your three sisters, and now you're married and you got this controls tech and you bought a house. What is that like to be able to say that you accomplished that at that point in your life?
Well, as a young man at that time, I mean, and then, it wasn't like a lot of my family members had houses,
Right.
that they lived in. So for me, it was a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. It was a big thing to have that house, and then also to be kind of young. We're still kind of young,
Yeah.
So it was a good thing.
So then what was going on? And now I want to start a family.
Well, as life goes, you got your job, and then you step up and you get married, and then you step up and you get the house, and then you step up and you start thinking about family and kids. And so that's a very interesting story, man, because, so when my ex-wife and I decided to have kids or started thinking about having family, it wasn't real simple. So, and what I mean to say is that for many years, man, we had been trying. And for many years, it just wasn't working. And so, as your friends are getting pregnant and year after year, then that became a thing. That became a heartbreak, if you want to say it.
Was that one of the things that you had previously discussed? I know I'm going back a little bit, but was there things you previously discussed that before you got married or talk about during marriage, like I do want to have a family, or is this something you always wanted?
Well, I think that we both wanted kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it was so much an event as much as it was a process, just over time, And, it's, you start thinking about things, start shooting things around, start kicking a can down the road, and then I think the time's now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that I did want kids, getting older and having a career and doing this myself. I knew I wanted to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious if that was the mindset when you...
No, I don't think so. I don't think that for me, having kids was a big thing on the priority list.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It was for me, it was more a process. Like I said, let's get married and then the house and then, over time. Yeah. And I think it's just a natural thing to think, well, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old was you when you had your first child?
Man, I wish you hadn't asked me that. So I think I was about 30. Yeah,
okay.
it took a while.
A little bit later.
Yeah, because my oldest son is 26,
wow.
And I'm 57. So I was around 30 or 31.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my ex-wife was about the same age, so she was about the same age.
And you have two, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I have two sons, man. And,
yeah. How far apart are they?
About 5 years.
Okay.
And my oldest son, I believe in God, man. And, like I said, for many years we had tried and nothing was happening. And in 2000, I made this profession of faith. And then my ex-wife, about 2 months later, did the same thing. And, I got to be careful not to cry over here.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to,
Mm-hmm.
well, you say, are you saying prior to this that you weren't so much invested in your faith, or is this something that you put more faith in at this time?
Well, so for me, I always knew, even as a kid, that there was God. I always knew that. That's just a thing that God gave me. So there was never no confusion like that for me.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to believe in, something, and another thing to practice it, right?
Right.
So the practicing part and the, I got to make a decision part came around 2000. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, to give you like a biblical reference, it's Jesus talking to Nicodemus and saying, "Hey, man, you got to be born again," and that kind of thing. So that's really what I'm talking about.
Okay.
An outward confession through the mouth and through the heart and through the soul, and say, "You know what? Yeah, I've always known you're there, but now, this day, I choose to follow this way."
Okay. I want to make sure I got the timeline right.
Yeah.
You're doing this prior to your son being born?
No.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, no. Let me
sorry.
break it down a little.
Okay.
So I've always known, and then what happened was that I knew this pastor, and so over many months and years, actually, I tell him, "Hey, you know what? I know that I need to make this commitment, because once again, it's one thing to know about God, but it's another thing to say, I'm going to start following you." So in 2000, January, I'm going to start following God, and I need some help, so I call this pastor. And so he leads me through this prayer. And so that was my start, the official start. 2 months later, my ex-wife does the same thing. We get baptized. And then shortly after that, and keep in mind, this is many years we had been trying to have a child.
That was my question, was like, so you did this prior to having your first child, or you already had your first child?
No, prior.
That's what I was asking.
Oh, my bad.
No,
yeah.
you're good. Okay.
So
that's what makes us, that's, okay. I'm
yeah.
good.
So now I make this confession.
Yeah.
And then she does the same thing about 2 months later.
Right.
And then about 2 weeks after that,
Yeah.
she calls me and says, "Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm pregnant." I'm like, "What in the world? What are the odds, right?"
Yeah.
So that is just bonkers in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that is nuts. But so 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, and she's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we're in December 19th. I'll never forget it, bro. 2000. So we go see the doctor, and I asked the doctor, "Well, what do you think, Doc? Going to be it's going to be a New Year's baby or a Christmas baby, or what do you think?" "It'll be a New Year's baby, man. You're not dilated enough." All right, cool. So we go back home, and then we're watching TV, and then she goes, "Ugh." Oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
So long story short, I call. I don't know if they still have it nowadays, but it used to be called Ask a Nurse, and it was sponsored by Methodist Hospital. So, and that's where our doctor, he was affiliated with that hospital. Anyway, so I called the Ask a Nurse, and I said, "Hey, my ex-wife or my wife is having this pain. What should we do?" And so they say, "Well, come on into the doctor's office." And I'm thinking, well, we just had talked to the doctor a few minutes ago or a few hours ago, and he said she's not dilated enough, and this is December 19th. New Year's is at least 10, 11 days from now. So I'm thinking, well, she's just telling me to come in, because if she doesn't tell me that, and she has the baby and something goes wrong, maybe there's a lawsuit, I don't know. So I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking. So we go to the hospital anyway, and they check her out, and they say, "Well, go ahead and get into this gown. Take your clothes off, put this gown on." And I'm like, "Well, why are you asking her to put on the gown?" And the nurse says, "Well, you're gonna have the baby today." And I said, "You're gonna have the baby today?" So a lot of things are running in my mind, because just a few hours ago, the doctor who checked her out, examined her, said, "You got 11 days to go." And so now I'm wondering, well, what? And so I look at my watch when she tells me that you're going to have the baby today. And brother, it's like 12:30 in the morning, December 20th. That's my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Bro, so man, I am like, what in the world, man? So what are the odds, Jeremy?
Yeah.
That you're a practical, analytical man.
Yeah.
What do you think the odds are?
I don't know. I mean, the odds, depending on when she had conception, then the odds would be, during that time. So.
Yeah, unplanned though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just, at that point.
It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man.
My daughter was born on the 13th. I was born on the 17th.
But it's not the same day, bro.
But my daughter was born at 12/17.
There you go. Yeah, that's pretty awesome, dude. So now, I mean, my son, man, he's his name is Anthony. He's got my middle name, and you know, I'll always thank God for that.
Yeah.
That, you know, I think about his birthday, and I think about God, and I think about that story, and it always brings a smile to my face.
Well, good.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great way to a great memory to have.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good story, and you know, thank you for sharing it.
Sure.
Let's. So, for the next 5 years, you got this little man to start raising and caring about before the next one comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about a little bit before the next one? What was it like knowing that you didn't have a father in your life? What was your mindset with this little man?
Well, you know, I don't know that there was an awareness in my mind that said, hey, you know, you lacked here, therefore you need to do. There was never none of that.
Right.
I think it was just a natural progression to
Yeah.
know, hey, you know, without even thinking about it, just to, well, number one, I mean, men love their children. I saw how you interacted with Sage, man.
Yeah.
You're just all over her.
Yeah.
And you love her, and she loves you. And that's awesome. So I think there's that instinctive thing that happens without even considering anything. It's just a love that's just, bam, you see a kid, like, what? You know, and it's your own kid. And so there was never an awareness in my mind that, although that's the way it played out, there was never an awareness in my mind that thought to myself, hey, you need to do better because you never had.
Right.
There was never none of that. It just flowed. It
Yeah.
just flowed. So my son, you know, even now, I talk to them. They're grown men.
Yeah.
And I tell them, yeah, I love you, man. And they say, I love you back, Dad. And that's a good thing. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question or not. But for 5 years, I just loved on the kid.
No, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what about the second one? Is that something that came along? Was that planned? It's like we got to have another one. He's a brother. Is that
No, it wasn't.
the first one didn't come around and say, "Dad, I need a brother."
No. I wish
like that.
I wish I had a better story, man. Other than well, it just happened, right?
Yeah.
So there was nothing really there that was, you know. Yeah, hey, we were just so happy to know, man, that
Yeah.
we had another kid coming, and but there was never a we need to do it because
Right.
none of that.
I got you.
Yeah.
So what was that growing up like? When you have two? I mean, they're 5 years apart. Were they into sports? Did you get them into sports? Or
Yeah, for sure. So my sons were always into sports, Boy Scouts. They were involved,
Yeah.
and you know, I credit their mom for that mainly because that was important for her.
Yeah.
It was important for me too, but not as, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that she was more aware of that kind of thing.
Right.
Keeping them involved, you know, and that's a good thing. But yeah, they played basketball. They were both good. My youngest son, Nathan, he probably had the most, you know, ability. You know, I think he just was given God-given talents.
Yeah.
You know, he was just always athletic. He was always the little guy on the team making the most points in whatever it was he was playing. Whether it was soccer or basketball or whatever sport. I think those were only the two sports that he played. But yeah, he was always athletic like that. My older son, Anthony, he was athletic too, but he was more analytical and more aware.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was the guy talking more about sciences and STEM and engineering and mathematics and whatever. Yeah.
What was their path after high school stuff? Was it toward college? Did you have an impact on, like, did you like try to say, you know, go to college? What was your I guess advice toward them, you know, when it came to graduating high school?
Yeah, well, it was exactly that. Go to college, right? Because college is where it's at. Now, you know, keeping in mind that we're talking a few years back.
Right.
And this is before the iteration or publication of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So that's something totally different. But so the traditional way was go to college, you know, just a few years back. And so, yeah, that was pushed by me and his mom.
Why not military?
You know, I don't know. And the only answer I can give you is that, you know, when I was growing up, the military was never a thing I'd consider ever.
Yeah.
And so for me, and I guess he was just an offshoot of what I was doing. And so if I'm not thinking military, because I never was that guy, then most likely I was not going to be pushing something I was not involved in.
Yeah.
So, but if it was computer science, that was a thing that interested me, and it was a part of my life and at my job. So I had my oldest son at 13, or maybe even younger, write his first program. And so I told him how to do it, and he wrote it. And so I was pushing that kind of thing instead of the military.
Yeah.
Because military was never part of what I did.
Was it difficult to get them to want to go into higher education after high school, or is it something they felt natural to just do?
Well, I'll tell you that even after the divorce, that my
so this was prior. So you got divorced prior to them graduating high school, and stuff like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Talk about a little bit about that. Like what happens during that time? How does the separation work? Is it like, do you get the kids, like, is it 50-50? What happens?
Well, so, number one, divorce is not good, right? So I remember my son crying, man, and that always breaks my heart. Even now, man, I'm, many years removed from that.
Yeah.
But it still breaks my heart when I think about it. But, so they took it as best they could. And, it was, the divorce decree was that, I have them every other weekend. Right, so pick them up on a Friday and then drop them back off on a Sunday, and then there were special, holidays and events that I would have them more. Like for instance, spring break every other year. I don't remember all the details, but it wasn't extremely one-sided. But in my mind, the man always gets the
short end of the stick.
The short end of the stick. That's right, and so. Anyway, it was what it was. I remember that for a very long time, I was having my sons every weekend, and I'm grateful for that. And so I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I don't know, and so I was happy and grateful.
Was it a mutual thing, or it was as far as the separation goes? Because the way your story goes, you just rolled right into them. Getting older.
I think that most times, and I think this is true. In fact, I know it's true. So in divorce, there's always one who wants it and the other who doesn't. I didn't want that, but that's just the way it happened.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you living close? Are you still close within proximity during this time, during the high school, them going through high school?
Well, I lived in San Antonio for about a year after I got divorced. So I was living in San Antonio. But so in about 2013, somewhere around there, or late 2012, I moved to Pleasanton. And that's where I currently live now. And I lived there, and it was a different kind of scene, different in all kinds of facets. You're used to the hustle and bustle of San Antonio, and then you go out there and it's super quiet.
Yeah.
And then you hear everything. But so that's what happened.
And where are they at during the time you moved to Pleasanton?
They lived with their mom.
Was it far away from you? Was it a good distance?
Oh yeah. It's
out of state or
no.
State?
They live in San Antonio. I live in Pleasanton. Pleasanton's only about 30 miles south of San Antonio.
Okay.
But to traverse to the time from Pleasanton, where I live, to where to go visit them, it's about 50 minutes, a 15-minute drive. To give you an example.
Now you're at Pleasanton. You live in Pleasanton. You make the move. What gave you the? So I'm assuming you moved from the house that y'all were living together.
Right. Yeah.
And when you go to Pleasanton, is it an apartment? You buy a house?
It's a mobile home on 16 acres.
Okay.
Mm.
And then now you're having to do, I'm assuming, child support.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Well, no, and that's part of. It's not easy, but I thank the Lord. I was able to get through it. But you have more additional expenses that you didn't know that you were gonna, incur. And so, yes, one of them is child support. The other one is the other stuff. Even though I still paid for my child support and never missed a payment, I still took money out of my pocket and took care of my sons financially. And so, it was kind of a struggle. For a while there, I had to, not participate in a 401k plan. It's hard. It's hard to, pick up these additional bills, and then you still have to eat. You still have to drive a vehicle, and if it breaks down, you got to repair it, or you got to get another one and make payments, and you got an additional cost with, now you got to pay rent or another mortgage for yourself. So it's not easy.
Wait, what age was this?
So I would have been probably about 44.
Okay.
43, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were pretty established in your career at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And then, so you continue. How's the co-parenting during this time? Did y'all get along? Is it?
Yeah, no, it went great.
Good.
So no problems. Like I said, I had my sons every weekend for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's because my ex-wife said, no, that's good to go.
Yeah.
And she realized the importance of a dad seeing her father. And so I give her credit for that, and I'm grateful for that. She didn't have to do that because that's not the way it was written.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that your kids, this goes on until they graduate and then and beyond, right? And they both go to school. They both go to college?
The oldest son is graduated now. He works at Los Alamos National Laboratories in New Mexico. So that's my oldest son. And my youngest son is about to graduate in the next few months from St. Mary's.
Oh, congratulations.
University. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
And, he hadn't done it yet. But
Well,
anyway,
a few months.
yeah. You might as well say you did.
Might as well.
Yes.
Well, I'm a few months away as well, so
Hey, right on.
it's not going to be if he has the same mindset I think that I do, there's nothing that's going to stop us.
No. Both my sons are driven, man.
Yeah.
But people being people, we all have our characteristics that are unique to you. And it doesn't mean that because you're a better, you got a more physical attribute than me, that maybe you're better. That means nothing. It just means that, we're built different. My oldest son, he's a smart guy, analytical and very focused, and talk politics and talk money and cryptocurrency. Just a really smart guy when it comes to cryptocurrency. In fact, that's why they hired him.
Yeah.
So he's got that special skill set with that. My younger son, not so much, but he is very driven. He's like you. He's very focused, and he doesn't mind putting in the work.
Yeah.
So if it means, sacrificing a weekend or at least one day with his girlfriend, then that's what that means. And if it means putting in 14-hour of just study time, that's what it means. So he's driven like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you mentioned oldest age is 26 is the oldest?
No.
But no grandkids at this point? Not yet?
No.
Are you looking forward to being a
Well, that's funny. Yes and no. I think kids are great, and I think that we probably, as a nation, should be having more kids, right? And so, I think it'd be great to have a baby around, right? Under the right condition.
Right.
So if you're married, my sons are married, and not out of wedlock, and that, whatever, to each their own. But for my sons, I prefer, and I'd want them to be married and have kids.
Yeah.
And I'll take that kid, boy, girl, black, brown, purple, I don't care. I'll love on that child, right? But I do want them to be married and have a plan and a vision, and just not nilly-willy, hey, guess what, Dad? Here's the child for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I, I think, as the older I get, I definitely would look forward to that day. Although I do have a very young daughter, so I'm not looking forward to that day. But my son is much older, so I think it'd be pretty cool. This is my take on it at the time. But I do agree with you on the fact that I do hope that he finds someone that he can, marry, and the child's born into, that type of love between two people so they can see it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Agreed.
well, at this point, they graduated school, they graduate college is what I'm saying. They graduate college, they find
Oldest one graduated.
I'm sorry, yes, one graduated. One is about to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But they're moving on with their lives.
Right.
But here you are still trying to, focus on your career and what you're doing, but you never decide to get married again.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a by choice, or is that it just never happened?
Well, it's by choice for sure. I mean, so it's not lack of opportunity.
Right.
Right. It just, for me personally, getting married again is just not something in the works for me. It's just not something I want to do again, and it has more to do with just not trusting and those are issues I got to get past, right? But I think that I'm not trying to get past them, and I'm not looking for mentorship like the way I told you earlier, right? So I'm not trying to. I'm not looking to get married. I like my freedom. I like what I do now. I do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that.
The depression that the divorce put you through does that have something to do with not wanting to get married again, or
Jeremy, you're asking me these questions. Come on. Okay, yeah, sure. Let's talk about it. Okay, so yes, it has everything to do with it. Now, and I'll just go ahead and share with you online. When I got divorced, man, and like I told you, everybody's built differently. Some people can go through some things and they get past it like immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas others are like, same situation, and they're like, that's me. I'm that overthinker guy. Anybody who knows me will say, yeah, that's Mark. So consequently, because I'm built like that, it took me forever, man, to get over that. And I don't mean weeks, and I don't mean months. I mean years, bro. Day after day, it took me, it was just a thing on my mind. Man, you failed your kids. That was the number one thing.
Yeah.
Because of how you did and what you did and how you didn't do certain things, you did this to your kids. Now, that's a heavy load, man, to be carrying. Now, I've learned since then that it takes two to tango, right? So I wasn't giving myself enough credit for the things I was doing back then. But either way, at the time, not knowing what I didn't know, it was this heavy load on my shoulders, and so heavy, man, that I can recall this one time working in San Antonio and working on a computer and building graphics and doing this database stuff. And anyway, this overwhelming thing came over me, and it wasn't like the first time, because what depression really is, man, for me, because I believe in God, it's satanic. It's satanic, man. That's what it is, and it's a feeling that's not from God. It's from the evil one, and he wants you to know that you messed up. He wants you to know, and he whispers in your ear and whispers to your heart, maybe not audibly, but depression that comes over. And it took me a very long time, man. I fought that for a very long time, and it was actually during that time, man, that they say you can only see the stars in the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So
even in the darkness, I was able to look up, and I mean to God, and look at the stars and look at, thank you, God. That's when I really learned what love is, man. And oh man, I wish I would have known this, earlier. And but I was able to get through that, man, through that tough time.
What'd you do exactly? I mean, not exactly, but can you little more contrast on what is it you did to get through it? If it took you so long.
Let me just tell you this: when you get to the low point in your life, and you're just reaching for anything, any kind of branch, for me, it was God.
Yeah.
I always had that relationship, but it wasn't really real. Well, let me back up. I don't mean that it wasn't real. I do, because it was real. It was always real. But there's an elevation, or I don't even know how to explain it. It's a thing that where you get so low that you have no choice but to reach out to God. And so now I'm talking daily to God, hourly to God. Because like I said, I'm on the graphics and doing these things of changing some program, and this thing came over me, the depression.
Yeah.
And so I had to excuse myself. I walked out, and that's when I used to smoke. So I smoked for like 30 years, man. I pack a day. It's crazy. I'm not dead right now. But anyway, so I go outside, man, and I'm smoking, and I'm running things through my head, and I'm crying, bro. Tears are coming down my face, man. It's just one of those things. But anyway, to add to your point, how did I get over it?
Yeah.
Well, it was God. God helped me through that. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like some crazy man outside in Pleasanton, Texas, on 16 acres and pitch dark, bro, outside looking up and looking at stars and praying to God. That's what that looks like.
And then I'm assuming this is something you continue to do to draw strength from.
Yeah, even now. I mean, nowadays, man. It used to be that when I first, I used to go out. Oh God, help her to see the right way, and and it was more about that. And really, those prayers were all wrong. So now, when I go outside and I do the same thing and look up and look at the stars, it's really just to acknowledge God and say, God, you are God. And God, you are worthy of me coming out here. You're worthy of my blood, sweat, tears, body, soul, whatever, death, life, whatever that is. So it's different.
Is the focus more on making you a better person? Is that what you're praying towards or asking towards, making you? And I'm assuming, do you do it for everyone else? Do you ask? You speak prayer for everyone else, or you do it more for you?
No. Well, number one, I don't pray for myself.
Okay.
So when I go and I pray outside now, it's to acknowledge God.
Okay.
So there is no help me with this, because I think part of that maturity with God is that at some point you stop asking for yourself and you start praying for the right reason. What's the right reason? Well, to acknowledge God, because He's worthy of that. Right. So I don't really ask anything for myself anymore. I'll tell you this: that the last time, this is kind of personal, dude, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And Eddie, that dude told me about his dad, like he told you about his dad. And so Eddie's an open book, and he just shares. But this one particular time, this last episode where his dad, was kind of maybe the last ride or whatever, or this is it. The idea of praying for him was so overwhelming for me, dude. It was so obvious to me. And some people say that I've never heard the audible voice of God, so I'm not that guy. But the Spirit does listen. And what overcame me, Jeremy, was that I thought, man, I need to pray for this man and his dad. Not that his dad gets healed, but that those left behind would be able to do okay.
Yeah.
So what happened, bro, was that this feeling and this compassion for Eddie came over me. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to fast the rest of this day. And that's exactly what I did. And this was early in the morning. And so I fasted the rest of that day. Normally, man, I'm out of shape, right? I'm overweight. And it's because I eat a lot. So, man, I was just thinking this the other day. I said, you know what, God, yeah, when that thought came to my head, it was you who gave me the power to go ahead and do it. Because in my own will, maybe I could have done it. I don't know. But, God gave me the power to go ahead and fast for Eddie. And so I did. And for his family. And for his dad.
Was there something you felt like that was the one thing that you can do for them? It was fasted, or was that something you had heard or read before that's like something that's more spiritual?
Well, I know about fasting because I read the Bible.
Right.
So let's get that out of the way. And I know about fasting because one time I did it 15 years ago when my nephew had a terrible toothache, and I didn't have the money to give him to go get it extracted. His dad wasn't doing so good, and so I fasted, and then the money came the same day. So I already knew about that. And so it wasn't like, it wasn't on this particular, episode or incident with Eddie. It wasn't like I was thinking to myself, I wonder what I should do. That was not part of the equation. What happened was that a thought came to my heart and my mind. It was more my heart, and that's hard to explain because the thoughts in the head are easier, right? Hey, I had this idea, but the thought of the heart is what happened, and I don't even know how to explain it. It was just I was filled with that idea.
Okay.
And so because I was filled with that idea, I just did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talk about, Eddie's father and what he's having to go through and what you felt you needed to do. I believe you had mentioned to me at one point you got the opportunity to meet your father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
What about your sons?
Man, you're trying to make me cry, man. That's what you try to do, bro. Yeah, let me just tell you this. So, despite my dad leaving when I was like around 2 years old, and despite not really knowing the guy, I think maybe when I was about 11 years old, I used to go to Houston.
Okay.
Because have a lot of family in Houston, so I would go there and then spend time with my aunt and whoever. And then so he would pick me up that one time, and so I spent the weekend with him, and I knew him as Joe, right? Anyway, so we had no relationship, bro. And then here recently, now we're talking many years later, 50-something years later, and this would have been maybe about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, about 2 years ago. So I had it on my heart, man, and this is another God thing. It wasn't Mark Sadler thinking, well, I ought to go see my... None of that. It's just impressed on me like the way it was with Eddie. This thing. And this thing is only God-given. It's a God thing, man. It has nothing to do with me. And I thought, man, we ought to go see Joe, my dad. And so my sisters, I think I told you, I got 2 older sisters and 1 younger. And so I said, hey, let's go visit Dad. And so we did. I took my older sister with me and had my second oldest sister with me, and I had my mom with me. So you can imagine the chatter, man. I'm like, oh man, goodness, man, right? So and so he lived way over there north of Dallas, man. So this is an 8-hour drive, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my goodness, turn on the radio or whatever. So we go see him, and I never had no animosity towards the guy because in my mind, and I think what actually happened is that you can't miss something you never had.
Right.
I never had him in my life. I never knew him in my life. He was never there. Whatever. I'm not trying to hold that against him. I'm just telling you that's just the way it was.
Right.
And because I didn't know the guy, I couldn't miss him.
Right.
So when I saw the guy, for me, it's very easy. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Now, my mom might have a different feeling because in my older sister who knew him,
Yeah.
even though she was very young, she would have known the heartache and all that. But for me, not a problem. So we go see the guy and, embrace. And then we take him back to our hotel and my sisters are giving him, man, one question after another question. I feel kind of sorry for the guy, why did you leave us? That kind of thing,
Yeah.
And, but it was very cordial after the initial, hey, let's get past the tears thing. And so it went well. And so the next day we take off and we go back to San Antonio, drive another 8 hours, and I'm going, oh my God, So, and then about 6 months after that visit, the man dies. So I'm thinking, because he had a chance to make things right, and he did.
Yeah.
What does it mean to make things right when you've been an absent father, man, for over 50 years? How do you make those things right? Well, if you believe in God, the right thing to do is ask for forgiveness. Because at that point, there's nothing you can do physically.
Right.
Let me give you
Yeah.
10,000. That's already passed. So as believers of God, my sister is my mom, myself, and that comes off from my mom. We were able to release that and get that past us. And he was able to release it also. He may have not known that he needed forgiveness, but he got it. And 6 months later, he dies. And I'm grateful, man, to God and my sisters and my mom that we all went out there and did that, man, to release that, because that needed to be released. So is that a God thing? Yeah, that's a God thing, man. I mean, it wasn't Mark just thinking, hey, you know what, this would be a great idea, man, to hang out with my sisters for 16 hours on the road, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's not fun.
Yo, kid. Woke up tired. Woke up tired, still I gotta get it. Same routine, but I'm staying committed. World feel heavy and it's weighing on my chest, but I learned real early, ain't no time to rest. Bills stack up, pressure don't fold. Tryna stay solid while the world turns cold. Smiles on faces, but you don't know the pain. Everybody fighting, just don't show the strength. Some days it feel like nothing's changing. Still I move, no hesitating. Even when the road feel long, I remind myself, just drive on. Been through the pressure, still standing strong. Life gets heavy, but we keep moving on. Came from the struggle, we built it alone. No matter the weight, we carry it on. Drink water, drive on. Long days, late nights, still pushing through. Doubting myself, but I stick to the truth. Ain't where I want, but I'm not where I was. Every step forward, yeah, it still count as love. Like some people had to learn and grow. Some bridges burned just to light your road. Hard times came, I ain't fold, I adapted. Turned all the pressure into something I crafted.
All crazy.